Hey, it's the Advocate, and today I have a friend of mine, Lamont C. Johnson, and he is a financial planner, and he's here on the second go around. The first go around, he helped us with financial literacy, and on this occasion, we're going to discuss insurance. And he is a dear friend to the family and podcast. Welcome, Lamont. How you doing today?
Doing great, brother. Thank you for having me. Always excited and an honor to be in your presence, man. And like you said, man, our friendship is real. So thank you for having me.
Definitely. Lamont, are you a basketball fan?
I am, brother. I actually played a little bit in my heyday. I was about maybe 50 pounds lighter, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't too shabby myself back in my day, you know. But who do you think is going to take it this year? That's what I really want to get to. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Who you got
That's a
winning the
good
chip?
question, man. I've been trying to keep in touch. I really don't watch the first half of the season. But a lot of injuries changed up a lot of things, right? So Phoenix was looking pretty strong. You still got Denver out west. And then I still like the Bucks. But I did watch Denver last night and they had DeMarcus Cousins coming off the bench. And that's a problem, right? So you got the 7 foot already, who's the MVP, and then you got DeMarcus Cousins coming out. As far as my favorite right now, if I had to pick a team, I still like Phoenix because of the ball movement. You know, their style of play, also Golden State, their style of play is a lot of ball movement, so it's kind of hard to keep up with those teams. So I'm going between either Golden State or Phoenix because of the ball movement.
Okay. Right, we're going to tune back in and see if your predictions were correct. Now, I know you are newlywed as well. I want to ask you, where did you meet your wife?
Oh man, it's funny because my wife was actually my employee at my old employer. I hired her as my assistant, and when I met her, I knew her energy was different. Vibrating very high. Her mindset is about growth. And I was very appreciative to have her in my circle, and we got to talking and we grew on each other. And long story short, now we're a union. So God knows what He does. Nothing happens by mistake. But she's been a blessing to me. Just helping me level up as a man and allowing her to be herself and grow around me. So I think that's really what it's about. If your vision is in alignment and you're looking to grow and understand that you're not perfect, she's not perfect, we can actually build together.
That's excellent. And where do you think you guys will vacation in the very near future?
So my family's been begging me to go to Dominican Republic for a little while. I got some cousins that just left the United States to live there full time. I got an uncle who's doing very well over there. They miss me and stuff. I think that might be our first stop. But definitely we want to get out to Europe. We like to eat, so checking out that good old Italian cuisine. I got some family in Spain I want to check out, and then actually her country is pretty great too. She's from El Salvador, so that'll be my first time touching base there. I hear that their entire economy is based on cryptocurrency, so they have like a
Wow,
revolutionized type leadership, which I'm excited to experience.
definitely. Now, Lamont, I wanted to ask you, where did you get your passion to even uh, indulge in financial information, and sharing it?
Growing up, I saw that was the gap. It took me a very long time to realize that was the gap that's holding a lot of us back. Myself personally, my family personally, we all were very focused on earning money, and if you needed extra money, you go do different things in addition to your job. That's how we were taught. But what I saw as I got more senior is that there's a whole nother language when it comes to money, when it comes to financial literacy. That's an education within its own. And without it, you really don't stand a chance. You really don't stand a chance. You could have a tremendous amount of income coming in, but if you don't understand the language of how money can work for you and what to do with money, you'll be just as broke as the person who doesn't make a lot of money. And we see it all the time.
Definitely. Now, in the news, we're hearing post and during this pandemic that a lot of Americans have no emergency funds. They lack financial literacy, and they're a paycheck away from a homeless shelter. And people may not appear to be smartening up. And we have people like yourself who are qualified to help. What do you say to the current climate of of Americans now? When it comes to saving and having money.
Well, it's a challenge. It's a very challenging situation. There's a lot that goes into that process. A lot of it is learned behavior and then a lot of emotional connection to money, right? Many people didn't grow up with wealth in this country. In fact, it's only about 5% of individuals that qualify to call themselves wealthy. So 95% of the population did not grow up with wealth. Many are not financially trained, financially literate because the education system didn't ingrain that into them early. So most of us are living off of what we've seen the previous generation do, right? Which is a lot of spending in many families. And now with the ease of accessing resources, you click a button on certain applications and you could be $1,000 in the hole, right? You get your goods the next day. Everybody wants to drive the latest car, and there's nothing wrong with those things. But if you're living by the seat of your pants to accomplish those goals, then that's a lot of risk. That's a lot of risk. And what I've learned is, working with a more wealthier population, anytime they put money out, the value has to be that much greater. And they typically take money that they earn and put it into things that make money for them, and then use that money to buy the things they want. So, kind of buying freedom, so to speak, where their assets are making money for them, and that allows them to get lifestyle, not skipping the assets part and going straight to lifestyle, which is what we see a lot of people doing now. And it's true what you said. Some people, if an emergency came about, they're going into debt or they're borrowing, from loved ones. They become a liability to their family and friends. So it's really about teaching people to delay instant gratification for a second, invest in things that pay you so you won't have to work for money, and then use that money to have fun. It's that middle step that's usually not there.
Definitely. Now, you know what, Lamont? I want to go specifically targeting the African American community and all the subdivisions of it, Hispanics, Haitians, and everyone else. Why is it, do you think, that as a community, we lack financial skills that will help us to live the most optimum lifestyles, do you think?
It's really, I always blame the education system because um, it's not a requirement. It's not a requirement for you to learn that. They'll teach you everything in under the sun, from history to a lot of things that aren't even relevant to life, if you ask me. And now people got these diplomas and these degrees, and they're not even using it to make money in the field that they study. So all these years went to things that they might have been able to do on their own, unless you're a physician or a lawyer, with specialized training. Um, and that's really a problem. I really believe that if our education system put an emphasis on financial literacy, being good stewards with your money, these are our training years, right? When we go to school, when we're in school, we're developing our minds, we're absorbing information, but if this information that we're learning isn't resulting in the lifestyle that we want, then that's a challenge. Um, in the African American community, the history is history, right? I'm African American. My father's from Harlem, 1955. His birth certificate still says Negro on it. They basically stripped the culture of their identity, right? So that's a stigma that's deeper than money. Not even feeling like you're equal to succeed in this country. Still, so it's not just like a cookie cutter approach to even fix that or get it going in a different direction. But I do say this: many people that sacrificed their lives before us would be would be elated if we all did better with the opportunities that we have today, right? So all those people that, and I think about that all the time with my personal life. I say, man, anytime I feel like I'm having a bad day or I'm feeling like giving up, and this is being transparent, sometimes life gets so hard. I got my great grandmother's picture here. She lived to 97 years of age. My aunt Mary lived to 106 years of age. When they saw Barack Obama get elected, I was with my great grandmother. Tears on her face was something I didn't even understand, because she never thought she would see a person of color leading this country based on her history. And I tell you that is because we should wear those sacrifices as badges of honor to take it to another level. We got no excuse in today's world not to level up. There's so much information around. People are coming together more that look alike, to pass information, to open up doors. Brothers like yourself creating communication outlets. Like, we stand on these people's graves. We're here because they got beat up, shot, buried. We can't take that for granted when we get $1, right? And many a times we're spending money on things that don't make us money. And that's okay if you already put it towards something that makes you money. I can't stress that enough. Take money that you make and put it somewhere where it pays you when you're not working, and then you can use that to buy the fun, buy the brands, go see the world, but we're not taught that. We're trying to keep up with images of people who are being paid to wear these brands to reflect them on us. Right? The celebrities don't pay for these things. In fact, they're some of the most frugal people I've ever met. I used to do personalized security for many A-list people. And when I tell you, they don't even walk around with money. Everything's negotiated. People, they're getting paid to come into these restaurants to take pictures. That's different from what we're doing in our communities, basically. We're paying full price, for things that are overpriced. Not really putting our futures at mind first. And, like I said, it's deeper than just like teaching someone. We really have to connect it all. Like, hey, people would die to be able to make the salaries that some people make today, back 20, 30 years ago. And here we are, not respecting that. And, I really believe there's a revolution going on, though, when it comes to financial literacy. People are hungry now for this type of conversation. People are looking at different options and realizing that the old way of operating isn't serving us, man. So I'm excited about the future, believe it or not. Even though I know we got a long way to go, people are spending more than they make in many of our communities. But there's going to come a time where that light's going to go off. And people are going to have to get serious, especially parents. Yeah, you want to be proud of your kids, but are you a parent that your kids can be proud of? And that's deep. When somebody told me that, I said, that's serious. We all want to do right by our children, right? So, yeah, brother, it's deep. It's deep, man. It's deeper than just the dollar itself.
Definitely. Now, Lamont, focusing now to the healthcare industry. Now, I work amongst individuals who are a wealth of resource. For me personally, I learned of benefits through the job through people who worked there for a longer period than me at the time. And I got an education about how things operate and what happens when people hurt themselves when people get sick, what resources are there for employees to help themselves, from critical illnesses and things of that nature. And one of the pieces of information that I learned was about insurance and the importance of having insurance in case something happens to me, so that my family can, be able to stave off debt and things of that nature, expenses that may occur if I'm gone. And likewise for everyone else in their families. So what became apparent to me is that people there, of the thousands of people that work in this facility, in my facility alone, a vast amount are not even aware of resources that are right underneath their nose and could benefit them and their family. And such is insurance and the different types of insurance. And I wanted to ask you if you can give us, our audience, the definition of insurance, why it's important, and go into the different types of insurance plans.
No problem. Definitely. Definitely, a subject that a lot of people aren't aware of the value of it. When it comes to insurance, in within itself is a system that you put in place to take the risk off for you to cover something that will cost you money, right? Why would you use your hard-earned dollars to solve a big financial situation where for like a few dollars, few pennies on the dollar, you can take the multi-trillion-dollar organization's money and cover that challenge, right? So when you're speaking to people in the healthcare industry, right, frontline workers, being exposed to tons of different situations, there's many systems that you can put, outside of what you have from your employer, which I always recommend this, Brother Carlisle. Yes, your job gives you benefits, but your employer, may not want you one day. What happens to your family then? It's always advised to get your own systems in place. So your own, insurance programs, your own protection and things of that nature. And when it comes to insurance, it's the first step in financial planning, right? Most people step into like growing money and trying to make money. But in that process, if your health declined, if you got sick, if you got hurt, insurance will you'll be able to cut yourself a check. You'll be able to cut yourself a check, So insurance is a big deal. Wealthy people understand it. They're always looking to protect themselves with some insurance because they don't want to use their own money for life's what ifs, right? We know our health, things can happen with your health, your life. One day you won't be here. These things all cost money, whether you're trying to get healthy or whether you took your income away and somebody, depends on that income. There's tons of upgrades in insurance these days that help solve whatever the need is.
Definitely. Now, I was going over some of your literature and I saw an acronym DIME.
Yes.
That's
DIME.
what it's called, right? Would you care to expand on what DIME is?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Because this basically speaks to can you see that here? I think I pulled it up. But it's okay. We can speak to it. So DIME just talks to the amount of coverage that you're going to need. And when it comes to life insurance, having the right amount of coverage is really important because the last thing you want is for your family not to have money, God forbid something happens. So when you look at the acronym DIME, D-I-M-E, the D stands for debt, right? Many of us have credit card debt and other debts that may pass through if, God forbid, you left the earth. You want to make sure that your family is okay when it comes to if they had to pay for these things and you're not here, there's money around. So basically summing up your debts and line iteming that. The I is your income, right? Making sure that if you passed away, how many years of income do you want of your income that you provide if you were here, how many years do you want your family to have access to that money? Ideally, we recommend 10 years, right? So whatever your annual income is, at minimum, they'll have 10 years of that, and they won't have to become a burden to someone else or reduce their lifestyle, which is what a lot of people do when they lose a loved one that's bringing in money, right? Contributing to the family. And then you got your mortgage, M for mortgage. Those homeowners, right? The bank is going to come for that house if the mortgage is not paid. It doesn't matter if the person who owns it is here or not. If you're a responsible person and your family's living with you in a home, you want to make sure at least you have enough insurance to cover the mortgage, right? So you take the balance of your mortgage, line item that. And then lastly, the ease for education, right? When you think about any parent, if you're not here, obviously you want to help your kids have money to go to school if you can help it. Why not put that into your calculation as well? As of late, like education is about $40,000 a year per child, right? If you want to do something fancy or cool, but at minimum, that's a good number to go with. And then you just summarize those numbers, and that's how much you need minus any life insurance that you may have, right? I always say if you have to calculate your job's insurance, most employers offer life insurance, but what you should know, that's typically maybe a year or two of your annual salary. So if that's all you have, you want to ask your company, is that going to stay with you if you separate? Brother Carla, I had a client come to me, worked for a company for 30 years and got laid off. She's 30 years more senior now. All her life insurance or benefits gone. She has to go and apply for these things now, in her 60s, when she could have set it up, earlier in life and had it situated. So Dime tells you, how much insurance you actually need. And I really would like all families just to have a good conversation about this and think about how much life insurance you have and do you need more? Are you underinsured? A lot of companies now have newer versions of coverage that you can upgrade to with the right professional help.
And you can also be overinsured as well.
Correct. So, some people don't have that much responsibility. Typically, what life insurance usually is used for is to protect your family's income during your years of your highest responsibility. However, wealthy people use life insurance for other things, right? Especially when it comes to the permanent type, because there's a savings program in there when you can grow and access money tax free because of the tax code it falls under. So it's really about the strategy that you want to implement in your entire plan and then using life insurance as a tool to meet those ends.
Now, after people complete Dime and go through that process to see how much insurance they may need, is that the logical starting point, or is there an additional starting point? And also, where do you segue to next, like in terms of like picking the type of insurance that you might invest in?
Right. So, definitely sitting down with a professional who has access to, I always suggest sitting down with someone who has access to multiple companies because they're not tied to one brand. And the reason why you want to be careful working with someone that's tied to any one brand in any industry is because their offerings are only as good as that company. So if that company is not competitive in whatever space they're in, that person still has goals to meet to keep their employment, and it might be a conflict of interest, right? That's just being transparent. But when you're working with someone who has options when it comes to multiple companies, it's a benefit to the consumer because now the consumer can customize offerings from companies based on what their needs are. So that's something that I would suggest keep in mind of when you're working with a professional. What options do they have? Is it just one brand or do they have multiple brands? Because multiple brands gives you the keys to the car. Now, when it comes to the different types of life insurance, no matter what the types are, they fall into two buckets, either permanent or temporary. Permanent gives you the opportunity to build savings and build equity within it, right? And there's different types of those when it comes to insurance, depending on how you want the money to grow inside, depending on the level of flexibility you want to access your money, depending on the flexibility you want when it comes to making contributions to the program. You want to take that in consideration as well, because some are more strict, right? It's like you get what it is. There's really no flexibility. Others allow you to put more when times are good. Fall back if times are hard. And then also in regards to the amount, the way the money grows inside of it, there's also flexibility in the newer programs, right? So the original programs on the permanent end, the interest rate was fixed, right? And anytime you're investing, you want to think about, is the interest rate that I'm earning on my money outpacing the cost of living? That's any investment, not just life insurance. So if you're getting a fixed interest rate on your money, is it competitive with what the cost of living is? If not, that might not be the best option.
Right.
Right. So just understanding what your needs are and what you're trying to do. Some people get life insurance just for making sure that if they pass, their family has money. Others want to use it as a saving system. So understanding which permanent programs allow you to do that is key. When it comes to the temporary options, those usually are used to cover like an expense or a time period of your life. Like I said, that you have more responsibility, and God forbid you passed away, now your family gets insurance money, right? So to cover your mortgage, to knock out your debt. But what you want to keep in mind is that the industry has made upgrades to that term program. Some people are walking around with the old-fashioned term, which is if you die, the family gets the money. But the newer programs on the term temporary side, they give you what's called living benefits, where if you got sick, injured, or hurt, you can now tap into the insurance money while you're living, right? We've had clients, God forbid they got a terminal illness. They took the cash up front and just spent the rest of their days enjoying life with the family. We've had other clients got hurt at work, couldn't perform. Instead of them coming out of pocket for additional help, like someone to come take care of them, someone to move them around and stuff, they cut themselves a check. They was able to hire people, or pay their loved ones and things of that nature. So these are systems. Just like a job has systems to get a result. Everybody should have systems when it comes to their finances, that if what if happens, I got a bucket of money I can tap into. And that's what life insurance has evolved to as of today.
Now, can you help us understand whole life insurance?
So whole life insurance is actually the first form of permanent coverage that was ever created. And it's also the more costly of all of them, right? And when it was created, only a certain segment of the population can afford it because of the pricing on it. But it's permanent insurance that protects you for your entire life, right? So that means as long as you're paying it and funding it the right way, your family has access to a death benefit, God forbid, if you passed away. Now, it does have a savings component. The savings component, the interest rate, typically, depending on the company, is anywhere from 2 to 3%. So you got to think about that, because the cost of living right now is at 7%. So if you put your money in a lower interest bearing program, that money is actually losing value as we speak. Same things happen to everybody that has their money in a savings account in the bank. The bank is giving you peanuts on the dollar. Yet when you go to spend that dollar, you're getting less goods. So you want to keep that in mind when it comes to insurance as well, because the newer versions of the program are giving you more opportunity to grow money inside of it. Okay, but whole life is still out there. Some people just gravitate to it because it's very consistent, right? It's very consistent. Fixed interest is not bad in total, because you always get something, even when the market does bad. you get some type of gains. You know, and that's really it. The another thing with whole life, you got to pay it your entire life. So if you live to 100 years old, there's no flexibility in that monthly premium or annual premium, however you set it up. So these are things to take in consideration when it comes to whole life.
Right. Thank you for that. Now, another insurance I became aware of working at my job was the critical illness insurance. And how I found out about it is because there's certain workers they would be just missing. Like I would think that they left the job completely, gone like a year, 2 years, and I'm like, wow, like how are you able to do this? And some of them are out because that need major surgery and things of that nature, major, you know what I'm saying? And they are able to do it through critical illness insurance. And it happened between a third party. So, the individuals that they supervise may have struck them, hit them, or, whatever the case may be. And they out on injury. And they're able to utilize critical illness insurance to supplement the income from lost employment. Can you explain more in detail what critical illness insurance is?
Yeah, so critical illness insurance is coverage if God forbid you got hurt, right? And I could let me see what I have the dictionary meaning here, but if you got into to cover diseases like cancer, organ transplant, heart attack, stroke, renal failure, you got chronic illnesses where you can't perform one of the daily living activities. These are things that happen. These are things that can happen. And you mentioned at the job, people getting hurt. And I see it all the time where some people are forced to come back to work because financially they can't even heal properly, right? But those who understand the value of protection, protection meaning insurance, you set up these systems while times are good so that when something crazy does happen like that, you now have a bucket of money you can tap into, right? And oftentimes, many employers now are offering these benefits to their employees through voluntary benefits. But like I mentioned earlier, the more modern versions of life insurance are now including these coverages, right? So you can cut yourself, a 5-6 figure check and get your health right and not worry about being a burden on people. So I strongly suggest for people to look into these things while times are good because, who wants to go back to work hurt or sick? Or who wants to be a burden to their family where they got to quit their job to tend to you, right? When for cents on the dollar, maybe an hour's pay out of the week, you could have took advantage of these programs. And now it just brings a total level of peace of mind, Brother Carlisle, that, you know, when it comes to what's going on in the world today, for able to buy some peace of mind is a big deal. With all the things that are in your mind of just trying to survive, knowing that hey, I have an out. God forbid these things happen to me.
Right, and I do recognize too. It does cover COVID as well, because I had it twice, and that was the first time for me through that program. So, I was, pretty much shocked. I didn't think it would, I didn't know the workings of it. But I'm glad that I, bought it and invested into the critical illness insurance. Now, I know you also mentioned that people who are well-to-do use strategy with insurance and to leverage, their wealth and things of the nature. Could you give an example of how that may be?
So, speaking particularly life insurance and the permanent type of life insurance, permanent type of life insurance allows you to grow money inside of it tax free. It falls under the tax code 7702. You can look it up in the tax code. Why is that valuable? Because wealthy people like to make a lot of money, but they don't like to pay a lot of taxes, right? So that's the first positive in it. They stuff a lot of funds into these programs because they've been around for over 100 years, So now if they were to alter those laws, a lot of America's wealth will be affected. And if we know our country, when it comes to wealth, they usually get the advantage when it comes to lawmaking. But when it comes to strategizing, you really don't have to be wealthy to use it as a strategic tool. The savings component doesn't have any restrictions as to when you can access the money. So you never lose out on opportunity. Unlike other savings programs, when it comes to long-term savings, a lot of people use programs through their employer that typically are frozen from them until age 59 and a half, right? If you look at the 401k, 403b, these programs have restrictions on that money legally until age 59 and a half. You get penalized and you get taxed if you touch those monies in advance of that age. So wealthy people know, let me put my money in something that doesn't have those restrictions, right? Doesn't have, I can touch it whenever I want for whatever I want. And now they got access to a bucket of money. So if the stock market is down, it's a great time to buy stocks. Instead of using their emergency fund, they'll tap into their permanent life insurance savings, purchase some stocks while the stocks are low. Now, when those stocks come up, they can take that profit, pay the life insurance back, because when you look at what permanent life insurance is, what life insurance does, instead of what it is, it's an awesome tool that basically you create a bank for yourself. And if you do any reading, a lot of books out there, Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance is a powerful one. The banks put our money, right? People who save, into life insurance, not because they think they're going to pass away. It's because of the tax advantages and the ability to grow money and the ability to touch your money. So if the banks are doing it, why not cut them out and do what the banks are doing? Right? You can create your own banking system using permanent life insurance savings, grow money, access it tax free, purchase that home that you want. I always say purchase your first home as an investment, because if you move into your first home, it's a liability. You're not making any money on it, right? But if you use your life insurance money to buy an investment property, take the profit from that, pay your life insurance back, your own bank. Now you got multiple buckets of money working for you, and that's just some of the things you can do. I've had parents set them up as child savings programs because, the younger we are when it comes to life insurance, the more cost effective it is, right? But then when you're talking about growing money, and everybody knows the term compound interest, when you have time on your side, compound interest works in your favor, right? So if you're talking about a young child, newborn, even teenager, saving all the way to 65 in a program that's compounding, you're talking about a significant amount of money. But then it's tax free, right? Which affects how much you keep. And that's what wealthy people pay attention to. How can I get access to more of my money and it stays with me? And life insurance is a powerful tool when it comes to savings and being able to leverage it to get other assets that make you money. And this is how you buy freedom. Freedom is bought. Right? So instead of buying things that are liabilities, right, things that take money out of your pocket, the teaching and the language in all communities should be, okay, before I go and spend on something frivolous, let me find out a way to spend money on something that makes me money. And then from those earnings, now I got freedom to go and do what I want. I don't have to go and work harder to get the money back that didn't make me no money, which is an evil cycle, man. You see people working now, longer, 70, 80 years of age, and it's because nobody came to them with this information.
Wow.
The game's been rigged. So, I definitely suggest people to look into permanent life insurance, to use it as a banking system.
That's awesome. Now, Lamont, when we began the interview, I talked about people in the United States of America struggling. And, this pandemic, a lot of people were not able to pay rent, were not able to go grocery shopping, and landlords didn't get their rent payments for months on end, and people are not able to retain money. And it's that would speak straight to a lack of budgeting and things of that nature. How would it look by you coaching someone? What does that look like?
So there's only two ways that in order to save money, there has to be discretionary income, right? Income that when you take care of everything to live, there's money there. But the first thing that I would like to educate people on is to itemize everything going out. It's those frivolous expenses, I call them. So, for example, I used to buy water outside every day when I worked, right? When I worked out in corporate America every day, not knowing that at the end of the month, it was a significant amount of money, right? Coming out of my pocket. When I started carrying water with me, that money came back, right? Coffee, Starbucks, right? Our favorite brand. $15 a cup, $10 a cup, $5 a cup, whatever it is. If you look at that 30 days, that's something that you could have put into your savings, right? So I always say, just itemize everything. Go into your bank statements, look at your credit card statements for the last 60, 90 days, and just write down where every dollar went, and add them up, and then you'll see you'll be able to say, you know what, maybe that's not serving me. Now there may be an issue where that's not happening. The person's already, very good at knowing where their money's going. Then it might be just a lack of income, and additional income is needed. And most people in our society run to get another job when that happens, and that's what we were taught to do. But when you look at how the cash flow process works at a job, the more hours you work as a W-2, the more taxes come out of your check first. Okay, so and I know this from experience, because I was a person who put 3 to 4 W-2s together when I was younger. I was barely sleeping, trying to get ahead, thinking, okay, I'm gonna make more money. Yeah, you look great on paper, right? You could bring home some gross money, right? On paper, you look great, but the money that stays with you is less because it's on a W-2. Okay, an employee income. Now, what I strongly suggest is everybody to say, you know what? I got employee income. Let's use that to sustain. Your secondary income should be something that you get paid first. So I always recommend, I say, what skills do you have? What problems can you solve in the world today where you're not killing yourself, but you can make a few extra dollars? I was speaking to a good colleague of mine who's like a mentor to me. He says, man, quiet as kept. Me and my wife has been doing, food delivery on the weekends. Instead of watching TV, not making no money, here we are bringing an extra $4,000 every month into our lives. $4,000 extra a month, working an extra 2 days a week in an element that pays you as a 1099. So what does that mean? You're basically in business at that point, and now you actually reduce your taxable income on the W-2 side because your business has expenses. And that's what financial literacy is about. Teaching people how to dominate their finances and not let their finances dominate them. So everybody has a gift. I say, listen, even if it's baking cookies out of your house, do that. But when you go to get secondary employment, now you're trading time for money, and there's only a limited amount of time. So what are you gonna do? Work till you pass out? I tried it. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't help. My health declined. My lifestyle sucked. I couldn't be present with my family because it's like I was getting dressed in my car from one gig to the next. And it wasn't until I took a step back and got some mentorship on the subject that they were like, look, nothing wrong with being an employee, but you have to have some type of business either part-time or just a couple hours, something that you can do that pays you. And that's what I really want to, speak to when it comes to being able to put more money away and save and invest. And there has to be extra income. But creatively now, with the information era, there's so many ways that the world just got smaller, with the internet. If a person just took some time to learn a craft, get a certification, and it's something that they can control as either a business owner or a sole proprietor, what have you, that would do them some justice. Because the ultimate goal, Brother Carlisle, is to pay yourself first. Even in your W-2 income, you got to put your name in there as a line item, and then you live off the rest. But if if your lifestyle it's already shrunk to the point where you're not breathing, then definitely, creating some more income is the way to go.
Definitely. Lamont, I'm glad that I asked you to come on based on this information that you just shared, because you know what, there's a lot of people within the African American community that they get a lot of information and they don't want to share it. And then when they do share it, it appears to be not genuine, and taking advantage of people in the community that is already suffering and behind the eight ball, so to speak. Traditionally, African Americans have had to do more to be on par with everyone else. And then we have, these people who are pouncing on the community and bleeding them for the little bit of emergency funds they're able to scrounge up, and then now for me it's not balanced. So I wanted to have more people come on who are offering genuine, accurate information from a genuine place and looking to really help people, because that's why people don't trust people, because they think that, oh, this person is coming to get my money out my wallet. Like you said, liabilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I think there's a lot of fast talking African Americans out here as well. Unfortunately, you got to deal with the bad seeds too. And, but I just want to give you a kudos, because you have been at this for a while, and over the years, I've been able to observe your work, and, you've helped me as well on an individual level, doing some hard work. So I can understand, once again, from firsthand experience, working with you, that you're one, qualified to help, and also that you are who you say you are. So I just wanted to, once again, give you your kudos for doing such a good job of helping people who actually need it.
Thank you, my brother. Listen, it means the world to me to be of value to you and everyone who I can get around, because it always goes back to so many people sacrifice so that me and you could just be here. Man, that means that just blows my mind, right? The things that we take for granted these days, and it's our duty, right? People open the door for us so that we can level up. I believe it's our duty to give it back the same way, with genuine respect and appreciation for people. I love helping and serving others, because people have prayed for me and helped me. So who am I to stop that flow? But yes, there's a lot of things going on in the world today that are not, not 100% accurate, not kosher. But we come from very humble beginnings, man. And at the end of the day, I'll never lose touch with that. And I know for a fact, if we get more of us united in our mindset of that we can make things happen, the face of this thing changes as years pass by. May not be in my generation, but definitely moving forward. I'm training now 7-year-olds, teaching them things like profit and expenses and liabilities. I want them to know early, and these are conversations that I don't know in your house, but us growing up, our parents would talk about money like this, right? Even though we was right there, they would whisper about their finances, because we were like embarrassed to speak to it when we shouldn't be. There's so much that goes into where people are financially these days that, you know what, scratch what happened before. Start today with just empowering yourself to learn more about the language of money. And a good professional with genuine appreciation to help could change your life, because it changed my life. Somebody sat with me and went through my budget, exposed me for me, my habits, my relationship with money, and then gave me a plan out of that. And ever since then, my family, I'm not going to sit here and tell you life is perfect, but at least we have some direction, right? Because I know what it feels like not to have any direction with my money, and working really, really hard, but not seeing any results. I don't wish that on anyone. So, if anybody ever wants to contact me for help, the door's open. I have a team with me as well. People who, all walks of life, just want to see other people win. It's really our time, and it's definitely doable.
Definitely, man. I just want to, you touched on something that I want to touch on really quick. I think that people tend to feel as if that the process, like eliminating debt, right, is very intrusive, you know? And I think maybe pride comes into play because you come in to understand, like, oh, man, I can manage my own money. I could do this. I could do that. But you haven't been doing it, and then it doesn't change the outcome that there's a financial issue. You know, how do you work with egos when you're dealing with people who need the help of financial skills?
Well, I let them know. If we're sick, we go to the doctor, right? If you've been working your entire life, and I always do like a quick calculation with everyone, I say, hey, how long you been working? And they'll tell me whatever, 10, 20, 30 years. And I say, okay, great. How much money you been making annually through these years? And they'll say, whatever their income, 50, 100, 200,000. I go, great. So multiply those numbers. And that's how much money has come through you since you started working. And they bug out a little bit because there's usually a significant amount of money. And then I ask them, how much of that you got access to today? And usually I get a face of not being satisfied. Usually, at that point, now we know that you got two options. You could continue doing things the way you've been doing, and if you expect different results, then we know what that is, right? Lunacy. Or you can open up your mind to getting help. And I fell in that bucket too. I was making multiple six figures in corporate, driving these cars and looking real good on the outside, but on the inside, I had tons of holes in my game that I didn't know. I didn't even see it. It took another set of eyes, somebody sitting across from me, to point these things out. And that's really a game changer. When you could get somebody that's not biased, that's going to look at you and say, hey, these are the holes in your armor. These are the steps you could take. It's your choice whether you want to make them or not, but you can't say you don't know from here on out. And that's usually how I approach people. I say, look, after speaking to me, you can't say you don't know, because that's usually the first I didn't know, right? But after we tell you and then you choose not to move in a different direction, then, you can't blame anybody but yourself for the same experience that you've been having. And that's really how we approach it, Brother Carlisle. It's not, it's whoever wants to help, we give it to them. Whoever's not ready for it, it's okay. It's going to have to take the person to own that process at the end of the day. And it's not an easy conversation. I was sweating through my process. I was sweating, dripping, embarrassed, thinking I was doing something with myself, only to find out that I was eating, driving, and wearing my future away.
Have you seen success stories that you could speak of that you've
Oh
helped?
yes, yes, yes. We sat with a family just a few weeks ago. Had about $80,000 in debt. Really, really was pissed off about their ability to prepare for their future. Right, they got a few years left where they want to say no more work for us. And we was able to create a strategy for them where in 19 months, not only will they be out of debt, but they'll be able to put $6,000 a month away, right? And in the process of that payoff, we were able to show them how to pay the debt off while saving $1,500 a month away. And these are some of the things that we do. Anytime I sit with a parent, right, and show them like, hey, just for this investment that you're starting now in a program, by the time the child is our age, look how much money they're projected to have. Imagine if we all had a head start from our parents, 6, 7 figures. This whole thing would look different, right? And those light me up. Or anytime I get to sit with a business owner that loves what they do, they provide tremendous value to the public, but internally they're worried because the right systems aren't in place. Right, they're making tremendous income. The community's super happy with their service, but there's some things that they don't have in place. That if one wrong thing happened, everything they work so hard for goes to waste. Right, so we teach them how to reduce taxation. We teach them how to retain their employees. We teach them how to put money away the right way so that they won't have to work for the rest of their life. And I every time I get to do that for somebody, my heart just gets great, because it's like we just impacted that family's last name way after them. And that's how I look at it. Every time I serve someone and my team serves someone, we're looking at the generational change that just happened. Because for every person that we educate on becoming better stewards of their resources, now their kids learn that language and the kids after them. And when you think about it, it takes money to change law here, right? So if we're not at the law conversations where the wealth is sitting there saying, hey, make this law for me because my money needs to move this way, then we don't stand a chance. But with our work, we believe that we're going to have more people in those tables and in those conversations.
That's excellent. Lamar, I just want to say that, I think that you're doing a great service to your community and to all people. And I think that, I know your career is not over now, but most definitely the best is yet to come for you, brother. So keep up the good work. Thank you for coming on to the CJ Cares podcast today and enlightening our audience. I know that someone is definitely going to be enlightened and learn something based on our conversation today. So for that, I'm very appreciative.
Thank you, my brother. Likewise, this is a powerful platform. You're an amazing human being, brother. Anytime that we can get together is a great time. And, the world needs you. Keep shining your light as well. It's our time, brother. It's our time. Trust me. People appreciate what we do because this is going to impact so many. And even if it impacts one person, that one person could help others as well. So, I'm very appreciative to be here. Thank you so much, Brother Carlisle.
Lamar, where can people access you and get in contact with you?
So I'm on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Lamont C. Johnson, 80 on those platforms. My email as well, right? I'm taking emails, lamontc.johnson80@gmail. Feel free to drop a line. Let me know if you know anybody that could use some help or you need some guidance. It's genuine. We're very aware of the sensitive conversation that it is to talk about finances. So you don't have to worry about being embarrassed. You don't have to worry about where you're starting, but do come with a vision for yourself, because that's when the fun starts, when we focus on what we want as opposed to where we are.
That's excellent. Well, Lamont C. Johnson, thank you again for enlightening us in the areas of insurance and also, with financial literacy. And we definitely would like to have you on again and hold an event for people who want to learn. I think that now we can get some people together who really are enthusiastic about learning financial literacy and learning the game of money, right? Then, let's put our heads together and let's build our own table and grow our community.
I'm with it. You know it. Count me in 100%. That's the only way. We build it. We'll build it.
Definitely. Again, thank you again, Lamont, and we will look forward to seeing you in the future.
My pleasure. Likewise. Thank you as well, Brother Carlisle. Talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you soon.